up the downstairs. She pushes the bedroom door open, a Struwwelpeter silhouette against the white landing light. "Come on, Eileen," she whispers urgently, crooking an arthritic finger at me. Trousers on inside out, the pockets two shiny elephant ears. Shoes on the wrong feet, pointed out like the genie in a fairy tale. "Mum, it's the middle of the night," I say, keeping it cheerful. I am ready though, dressed under the covers. She approaches, plucking at the bed and straining to see me. She touches my face. It would be terrifying were it not my mother. It's terrifying because it is her. When we were small, for sore throats and nasty coughs, she would make butter balls, rolling small chips of good butter in soft brown sugar between her hands. There would be 6 on a little saucer, brought to the bed for the invalid, and maybe one for any other child awake who convinced her they too had a slightly sore throat. And a cool hand on the forehead as the melting sweetness slipped down. "Eileen, come on, get up," she whispers again, as if the house was on fire. My name is not Eileen, but the house is on fire, and at the moment nothing but nothing will put out the flames. It will take a long and wearying time to die down, and we'll all be left scorched and sitting in the ashes, wondering what the hell happened. And I will start making myself all sorts of promises. This will not happen to me. I will find a way to die beforehand. 2 years on from this night, when she's long gone from this house, I'll amend this promise. I will not be left on a padded chair, dribbling onto a cardigan with someone else's initials felt-tipped on the neck. "Get up, it's too late," she says, which, despite my sagging heart at the thought of what lies ahead, I find funny. My sense of humour won't last. It never does. If only I can avoid the lamenting stage, turning back into a child, mourning my mother, calling for her to emerge from this person. It will do neither of us a blind bit of good. But first things first. On this chilly, dark night, alone and taking my weekend turn with her, when all good people whose brains are not short-circuiting are asleep, I must equip the little woman for our night watch of hell, and I resent it. Glasses on, walking stick forced gently into the tightly clenched hot hand, hearing aids and teeth in. This last piece of kit, the denture plate, can be dangerous. My kind, sweet, funny mother, who all her life found it so difficult to raise her voice, allowing others to raise theirs, and loved us all until we couldn't breathe, is not above biting when necessary. I work slowly, loath to connect her. It raises the stakes for injury for me and brings her own predicament into sharper focus for her. Is it not kinder to leave her in the fog? "Get up, get up, get up," she says. The repetition is a warning. Shouting may follow. On my last weekend, she spent a whole evening in her nightie, throwing her head back like a wolf and howling the name of her parish priest over and over and over. I was only able to stop her by handing her a crucifix. When she was young and sharp, my waist was 22 inches, you know, she used to sing occasionally in a London nightclub. In her darkest times, when I was still small, she taught me the words to Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Why then, oh why can't she? I must not think of that now. She still sings regularly. It's one of the things we do best together, but only in the daylit garden. When the sun goes down, she has one aim. "What would you like to do?" I ask, my tone neutral and friendly. I might be asking which route she would prefer to follow in a stately home. She always loved the gardens of such places. "Go home," she says. She's lived in this house for more than 40 years. It was our first real refuge from the brutal wreckage of her marriage. And after a short first stop on a crummy estate to gather ourselves, we landed a house with a garden on the outskirts. We thought we were in heaven. We had 2 gardens, back and front, and a garage. We acquired a lawnmower. We were like regular people. "Shall I just help you with those shoes?" I ask, getting to my feet, taking both her hands and steering her bottom down onto my still warm bed. "Why, what's wrong with them?" she says angrily. "They're on the wrong way round," I say. This could go either way. A quick slap or a shared giggle. Her sense of humour is still in there. I know she is in there, but I feel the fear of a child who can't get to where their mother is. "She's just putting a lot of this on, you know," she confided in me once about her own antics, as I dragged her back to the house she'd escaped from to embark on a slow-motion chase around the estate, trying to snap off car aerials and shout obscenities at neighbours she'd once delivered Christmas cards to. I take off the shoes and swap them, noticing the socks don't match. I try not to think about her dressing herself, or I will cry. Listen to this, she says, prodding me. I think it's me that's the wrong way round. We hug and laugh together. She's felt my despair and handed me humour. The double act is intact. It's a good start. Stop now, Eileen, she says. Old-style Irish, the laughter must stop. It could end in tears. The fact she's chosen Eileen for me tonight bodes well. She has 2 family members with that name. I don't know which one I am yet, but she loves them both. There are other family names she could call me now that would mean serious trouble. Or it may just be a song she remembers. Whatever it is, I'm very happy to be Eileen. Other people talk of their hurt when their parent first forgets their name. Me, I'm grateful for the small distance it gives me. I've let myself be called on too often. And maybe, if I can just keep on being them, the Eileens will turn out to be more tolerant and understanding than me. I kneel at her feet, and she lifts off my glasses and places them on top of her own. She once stayed up into the small hours after a long day at work looking after other people, sewing sequins on by hand to finish off the satin and tutu and matching wand she'd made me to perform as a fairy in my first school play. I can see her wetting the thread and picking up the shiny discs one by one. Putting on the costume was one of the most thrilling moments of my life. Fairies are beside you, I sang to her delight. I wish they were here now. We set off, her in front, thudding carefully down onto each step, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, into the darkened hall, turning to leer at me twice to make sure I'm still there. At the bottom I hold my breath. Did I double lock the door? If not, it's an amateur's mistake. She waits a moment, nose almost to the wood, to see if I'll open it. I hold my eyes down. Then she starts fumbling with the knob, throwing me a look to see what I'll do. The chain is on, but she opens it just enough to peer into the blackness. She closes it again. She helped me through my first heartbreak, when I tumbled through this same door, having been well and truly chucked by my very first boyfriend. Don't forget, it's not you that's wrong in any way, she told me. Come on, missus, she says, and I don't like the fact she's dropped my name. Let's go this way, I say, flicking the button up on the double lock out of her sight. And so we turn to start the first of endless circuits of the downstairs rooms. From now on until tablet time, the night will become a specialised form of game, a type of indoor parkour mixed with I Spy to grab anything movable before she sees it. She can no longer walk far alone, and it's too late for her to learn how to use the walker. Earlier attempts ended with her sitting on the sofa, tangled up inside it, staring in the direction of the telly from inside her strange metal cage. So off we set, holding hands, with me facing her and walking backwards, Ginger to Fred. She needs me, but she doesn't want to. As soon as she passes a chair or the dining table, she lets go of my hands and makes her own way, like a baby learning to walk. I'm waiting to catch her when she runs out of table. I know she won't attack me while I'm enabling her to move. That's the painful, unspoken deal. In the middle of each circuit, we reach the sofa and sit and sigh as if taking our ease at a bus stop. Hardly has her bottom met the velour than she looks at me and says, "Come on," companionably but firmly, and we rise and shuffle off again. We turn 15, 20 times, but she never reaches the place she's looking for. Mum, I'm very tired, I say finally, pantomiming a yawn. What if we have a cuppa and go back to those warm beds? I'm very tired, she says, but I imagine I see a shadow of the old mother's concern for me cross her face. We could always go back to bed, I insist. I haven't got a bed, she says. I have to sleep on the floor. If my poor mother knew I had to sleep on the floor. I could make you up a bed if you like, I say. If you like, she says. She's learnt to answer like this, all-purpose phrases that are never wrong. You said it, not me, is another jauntier favourite. I've got that thing, she says. Dolores. Delirious. Dismantle. Dementia, I say. That's it, she shouts like a game show panellist, looking at me suspiciously. I haven't got a house. Look at this place. It's so gloomy. What about a cup of tea? I say. She stopped actually drinking the tea a while ago, but she likes the ritual of being asked. Tea has been a good and constant friend to her all her life. It's almost never let her down, except sometimes in other people's houses, where they were heathen enough to use sterilised milk. We set off again, but the mood has changed. She's grinding her teeth, her eyes narrowed. Oh, you would, wouldn't you, she says, dropping my hands at the table. Scene of tipsy Christmas dinners with paper hats, impromptu parties, crossword puzzling, sorting through bills. I'm at one end, she at the other, like warring politicians. She starts to turn, edging towards me purposefully. I move the other way. I've seen this in a Charlie Chaplin movie. You sidle bitch, she says, her face contorted like an evil elf, setting off to get me. Her accent has dipped from soft to street Dublin. What's a sidle bitch, I ask. Sometimes to make the night go quicker, I try to have a bleak sort of fun, or at least keep an inch of intellectual distance from the pain. You are, she says triumphantly. Finally, she knows the exact answer to a question. And if I get hold of you? She growls quietly, and I squint at the clock, placed higher than her on the wall. Why is it that the hands don't move? She sets off the other way, and so do I. I wonder, not for the first time, how far she would go. I can only hope some motherly instinct, the smell of her second-born child maybe, might stop her. My mother's tiny, but her last strength seems to have concentrated itself in her hands. I can no longer cut her nails, so to be held in her grasp is to suffer. She stops and begins to tap and stroke the table, as if sorting something. How's your mother keeping? She asks. I have learned how to hitch myself to her flighty mind quite efficiently. No course correcting. If she mentions elephants, I segue to elephants. It doesn't always work. Sometimes when I'm congratulating myself on my mental agility, the old mother peeks out and wrong-foots me, accusing me of outlandishness. You're my mother, I say, too tired now to think of a cleverer answer. I know that, she says. I mean, how's the other girl? People often come in two versions for her now. She's fine, I say, a bit tired. And what about the small one? My younger sister. She's fine too, I say. That makes a change, she says, looking at me deadpan. I know, I say, too quickly, relishing the flash of the old familiarity, our complicity in relation to my sister. I know, she says, sing-song and hateful. I'm tired and I'm so cold. Would you like a hug? And we can go and sit by the fire, I say. She loves affection, but has never been comfortable with being touched, the result of all the unkind touching she's suffered. Well, I suppose so, she says. Sometimes she feels the music of what is happening between us rather than understanding words. Once, as we met yet another gloomy circuit of the hallway, she took my head in both her hands and looked into my eyes, saying, "That poor girl, she's in mourning." And I am. Watching her monumental fight to remain herself cuts me to the heart. We're at the kitchen and she peers in with little interest. She used to stand at the sink watching the birds flapping themselves clean in the bird table in the garden. A plane trail or a comet or the space station passing would send her rushing outside, tea towel flapping. I slip in and lay out a small piece of toast with honey and a chocolate. I'm hoping to give her a pill, something that might quell the anxiety long enough for us to get a few hours sleep. It's not that easy to do. I've found spitty remains down the side of the sofa and under the table. Sometimes she opens her mouth obediently to prove to me that it has gone, and I cannot bear it. I cannot bear it. I'd rather she hit me. It doesn't matter that she used to wipe my arse once. I don't want to wipe hers any more than she wants me to. We're going too far. There's chocolate, I say, toast with honey, cake, whiskey. Oh yes, she says, reaching for my hands to start another circuit. It's a short list to her heart, and I won't need to produce all those actual things. She has famine genes, the type that necessitate a biscuit or tube of mince in her handbag at all times. What I will do, to start, is place one dosed chocolate on a plate halfway around her circuit, somewhere where she will think she's found a secret stash. I want to go home, she says. Shall we go a bit later, I ask. This is not my home, she says, her anxiety mounting. This place is gloomy. Let's go after we've eaten, I say. King O'Lear, I call her to myself. Why did I never see that Lear had dementia? I start to soften a little towards Regan and Goneril. The difference is we have no need to diminish her retinue. There's only us left, her children, and we can't seem to agree on what's best to do. We have no castles to ride furiously between. Just this, the family house, stripped bare. Before I knew better, I would spend precious energy explaining that she was at home and using clues and pointers in each room to prove it. The photos were long ago torn down. The ornaments are now smashed or hidden. She takes the chocolate and we finish the final lap. The light is changing. She sits on the sofa, her head nodding forward. She tries to rise but cannot. I put my arm around her and find the remote to watch something mindless and soundless. I don't mind the couple who can't decide which beautiful sunny house in Spain to spend their money on, but the soft-edged, purple-haired old people whirring up and down their stairs or chuckling over pensions in their cardigans with tea and biscuits make me want to bite my knuckles. I hold her hand while she sleeps, kissing her hot forehead now and then. She wakes abruptly. "I want to die," she shouts. "Shall we have a cup of tea first?" I say. She drifts off again but continues to murmur. "What if we all gathered round?" she says. It's the old Irish notion of the circle, the family circle, impregnable. Only it isn't. Nothing can keep this out. Dementia has broken through and will not be caught or tamed until it's eaten us all up. "Good idea," I whisper. "I want to die," she says, using my real name for the first time tonight, her voice level.